So, what if you could take a super powerful, general-purpose AI and turn it into a world-class expert in one specific field? Well, that's not science fiction anymore. It's a process called fine-tuning. You can think of it as the secret sauce that transforms a jack-of-all-trades AI into a master of one. And over this series, we're going to break down every single step of that process right from the ground up.
The process that makes this all possible, it's called fine-tuning. It's how we give a broadly intelligent AI a really focused, expert-level skill set. Think of it less like building a brand new brain and more like sending an existing one to medical school or law school.
But before we can even think about specializing, we have to understand our starting point. What exactly are we working with? So let's talk about large language models, or as you'll hear them called, LLMs.
These incredible models, you've heard of them, like GPT-4 or Llama. They've basically been trained on a massive portion of the internet. They've learned grammar, facts, nuance, the whole rhythm of human language. So their knowledge is like a mile wide. But for any specific niche task, it might only be an inch deep. And that's exactly where we come in.
But to really appreciate where we're going, I think we need to understand how we got here. These amazing models are the result of a pretty fascinating journey, one that spans decades of research and some incredible breakthroughs.
Now, what's really interesting when you look at this is the sheer acceleration. I mean, we started with these simple statistical models that were just guessing the next word based on probability. Then we got neural language models, which used word vectors to grasp relationships, like king is to queen as man is to woman. But the game truly changed in 2017 with the invention of the transformer architecture. Its secret weapon was something called the attention mechanism. Now, put simply, this allowed the model to focus on the most relevant words in a really long sentence, kind of like how you'd highlight key phrases in a book. This ability to understand context, that was the breakthrough that paved the way for giants like BERT and the GPT series, and it's what led us directly to the LLMs we have today.
And that brings us to the core concept of our entire series, the spark that really creates a true AI expert.
Okay, so if a pre-trained LLM is this brilliant generalist who's read a library's worth of books, how do we give it a specialized PhD in, say, finance or medicine? How do we teach it a specific style, a specific skill, or a very particular knowledge base?
The crucial point here is that we aren't starting from scratch. We are truly standing on the shoulders of giants. We take the vast general knowledge of that pre-trained model, and we just continue its training, but this time with a curated, high-quality data set that's specific to our goal. This could be supervised fine-tuning with labeled examples, unsupervised with domain-specific texts, or even instruction fine-tuning, where we teach the model to follow specific commands.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the difference in scale and purpose. Pre-training is the monumental, resource-intensive marathon of building that generalist brain. It requires an astronomical amount of data and compute power. Fine-tuning, on the other hand, is like a targeted, efficient sprint. It uses a much smaller, focused dataset to specialize that already powerful brain for a specific job, which makes it way more accessible.
So, this all sounds pretty powerful, right? But why does it actually matter? Why would you go through the trouble of specialization? Let's talk about the real-world advantages here.
The benefits are just immense. Because we leverage something called transfer learning, we don't need billions of data points, just a high-quality, targeted set. This leads to incredible domain-specific performance, creating models that can draft legal documents, analyze financial reports, or assist in medical diagnoses with way more accuracy than a general model ever could. It's faster, more resource-efficient, and just incredibly adaptable to whatever you need it to do.
Now, this explainer is just Chapter 1. We're really just laying the foundation for a much bigger journey that we're going to take together.
So this is our roadmap. Over the next few chapters, we're going to walk through this entire 7-stage pipeline together, step by step. We'll start with preparing the perfect data set, then move on to initializing the model, setting up the training, picking the right fine-tuning strategies, evaluating the results, and finally, deploying and monitoring our brand new specialized AI model. If you take just one thing away from this introduction, let it be this. This transformation from a generalist to an expert is the single most important concept we're going to build on. Remember this, because it's the key that unlocks the practical power of large language models.
And that brings us to our next chapter, where we get our hands dirty. We'll be tackling what is arguably the most critical ingredient in this entire process, the data.
Because as you'll see, the quality of your expert AI depends entirely on the quality of its textbooks. It's a stage that can make or break your entire project, so make sure you subscribe and join us for that one.
And of course, a special thanks to Shatramanayata for the concept behind this series, and to the researchers at CDIR Ireland's Centre for AI, whose comprehensive paper is the foundation for everything we're exploring here. Their work is what makes these explainers possible. See you in the next one.